The Phoenix Theatre and Arts Company's audio drama series presents Lady Gregory's Spreading the News, adapted and directed by Jenna Isabella. For past episodes, upcoming events, and other information, make sure to visit our website at phoenixtheatreartsco.com. That's theater with an R-E. Without further ado, we give you Spreading the News.
Scene: the outskirts of a rural fair at an apple stall. Mrs. Tarpey is sitting beside it. The magistrate and a policeman enter.
So, that is the fair green. Cattle and sheep and mud. No system. What a repulsive sight.
That is so, indeed.
I suppose there is a good deal of disorder in this place.
There is.
Common assault.
It's common enough.
Rural crime, no doubt.
That is so.
Boycotting, maiming of cattle, firing into houses.
There was one time, and there might be again.
That is bad. Does it go any farther than that?
Far enough, indeed.
Homicide, then. This district has been shamefully neglected. I will change all that. When I was in the Andaman Islands, my system never failed. Yes, I will change all that. What is that woman on her stall?
Apples, mostly, and some sweets.
Just see if there are any unlicensed goods underneath, spirits or the like. We had evasions of the salt tax in the Andaman Islands.
The policeman begins to poke around the stall, upsetting a pile of apples.
I see no spirits here, or salt.
Do you know this town well, my good woman?
A penny for half a dozen apples, Your Honour.
The gentleman is asking, do you know the town? He's the new magistrate.
Do I know the town? I do, to be sure.
What is its chief business?
Business, is it? What business would the people here have but to be minding one another's business?
I mean, what trade have they?
Not a trade. No trade at all but to be talking.
I shall learn nothing more.
Enter James Ryan, with his pipe in his mouth. Upon seeing the magistrate, he retreats quickly, removing the pipe from his mouth.
The smoke from that man's pipe had a greenish look. He may be growing unlicensed tobacco at home. I wish I had brought my telescope to this district. Come to the post office. I will telegraph for it. I found it very useful in the Andaman Islands.
The magistrate and the policeman exit.
Bad luck to that policeman, that Joe Muldoon, knocking my apples this way and that way, showing off he was to the new magistrate.
Enter Bartley Fallon and his wife, Mrs. Fallon.
Indeed, it's a poor country and a scarce country to be living in. But I'm thinking, if I went to America, it's long ago the day I'd be dead.
So you might indeed.
Mrs. Fallon puts her basket on a barrel. She begins to take parcels out from under her cloak and places the parcels into the basket.
And it's a great expense for a poor man to be buried in America.
Never fear, Barty Fallon, but I'll give you a good burying the day you'll die.
Maybe it's yourself who'll be buried in the graveyard of Clonmara before me, Mary Fallon, and I myself that'll be dying unbeknownst some night, and no one near me. And the cat itself may be gone staying through the country, and the mice squealing over the quilt.
Leave off talk of dying, it might be 20 years you'll be living yet.
Oh, I'm thinking, if I'll be living at the end of 20 years, it's a very old man I'll be then.
Oh, good morrow, Bartley Fallon. Good morrow, Mrs. Fallon. Well, Bartley, you'll find no cause for complaining today. They are all saying it was a good fair.
It was not a good fair, Mrs. Tarpey. It was a scattered sort of fair. If we didn't expect more, we got less. That's the way with me always. Whatever I have to sell goes down, and whatever I have to buy goes up. If there's ever any misfortune coming to this world, it's on meself it pitches, like a flock of crows on seed potatoes.
Leave off talking of misfortunes and listen to Jack Smith that's coming down the way.
My thoughts, my first love, there'll be but one house between you and me. And I thought I would find yourself, coaxing my child, on your knee or the tide. I would leap with the leap of a swan, till I came to the side of the wife of the red-haired man.
Jack Smith comes in. He is a red-haired man and is carrying a hay fork.
That should be a good song if I had my hearing.
It's the red-haired man's wife.
I know it well. That's the song that has a skin on it.
Mrs. Tarpey turns her back to them and goes on arranging her apples.
Where's yourself, Jack Smith?
She was delayed with her washing, bleaching the clothes on the head she is, and she daren't leave them, with all the tinkers that do be passing to the fair. It isn't to the fair I came myself, but up to the 5-acre meadow I'm going, or I have a contract for the hay. We'll get the share of it into the tramps today.
He lays down the hay fork and lights his pipe.
He will not get it into tramps today. The rain will be down on it by evening, and myself too. It's seldom I ever started on a journey, but the rain would come down on me before I'd find any place of shelter.
If it didn't itself, Bartley, it's my belief you'd carry a leaky pail on your head in place of a hat, the way you'd not be without some cause of complaining. Look at that young mare of Pat Ryan's that is back to Shaughnessy's bollocks, with the dint of the crowd. Don't be daunted, Pat. I'll give you a hand with her.
Jack goes out, leaving his hay fork behind.
It's time for ourselves to be going home. I have all I brought put in the basket, and look at there, Jack Smith's hay fork he left after him. He'll be wanting it. Jack Smith! Jack Smith! He's going through the crowd. Hurry after him, Bartley. He'll be wanting it.
I'll do that. This is no safe place to be leaving it.
He takes up the hay fork awkwardly and upsets the basket.
Oh, look at that now. If there is any basket in the fair upset, it must be our own basket.
Bartley exits, following in the direction that Jack left.
Get out of that. It's your own fault it is, talking to misfortunes, and misfortunes will come. Glory be, look at my new egg cups rolling in every part, and my 2 pound of sugar with the paper broke.
God help us, Mrs. Fallon. What happened to your basket?
It's himself that knocked it down, bad manners to him. My grand sugar that's destroyed, and he'll not drink his tea without it. I'd best go back to the shop for more. Much good may it do him.
Enter Tim Casey.
Where's Barty Fallon, Mrs. Fallon? I want a word with him before he'll leave the fair. I was afraid he might have gone home by this, for he's a temperature man.
I wish he did go home. It'd be best for me if he went home straight from the fair green, or if he never came with me at all. Where is he, is it? He's going up the road following Jack Smith with a hay fork.
Mrs. Fallon leaves in a huff.
Following Jack Smith? With a hay fork? Did ever anyone hear the like of any that? Did you hear that news, Mrs. Tarpey?
I heard no news at all.
Some dispute, I suppose it was, that rose between Jack Smith and Barty Fallon. And it seems Jack made off, and Barty is following him, with a hay fork.
Is he now? Well, that was quick work. It's not 10 minutes since the two of them were here. Bartley going home and Jack going to the 5-acre meadow. And I had my apples to settle up that Joe Muldoon of the police had scattered. And when I looked round again, Jack Smith was gone, and Bartley Fallon was gone, and Mrs. Fallon's basket upset, and all in it strewed upon the ground. The tea here, the 2 pound of sugar there, the egg cups there. Look now, what a great hardship the deafness puts upon me that I didn't hear the commencement of the fight. Wait till I tell James Ryan that I see below he is a neighbour of Bartley's. It would be a pity if he wouldn't hear the news.
Mrs. Tarpey leaves. Enter Sean Early and Mrs. Tully.
Listen, Sean Early, listen, Mrs. Tully, to the news. Jack Smith and Bartley Fallon had a falling out, and Jack knocked Mrs. Fallon's basket into the road, and Bartley made an attack on him with a hay fork, and away with Jack, and Bartley after him. But look at the sugar yet here on the road.
Really? Well, that's a strange thing. And Bartley Fallon's so quiet a man.
I wouldn't wonder at all. I would never think well of a man who has that sort of a mouldering look. It's likely he has overtaken Jack by this.
Enter James Ryan and Mrs. Tarpey.
That is the news Mrs. Tarpey was telling me. I suppose that's what brought the police and the magistrate up this way. I was wondering to see them here a while ago.
The police after them? Bartley Fallon must have injured Jack. They wouldn't have entered in a fight that was only for show.
Why wouldn't he injure him? There was many a man killed with no more of a weapon than a hay fork.
Wait till I run north as far as Kelly's Bar to spread the news.
James leaves.
I'll go tell Jack Smith's first cousin that's standing there south of the church after selling his lambs.
Tim leaves in the other direction.
I'll go telling a few of the neighbors I see beyond to the west.
Mrs. Tully leaves in yet another direction.
I'll give word of it beyond at the east of the green.
Sean starts to exit, but is stopped by Mrs. Tarpey, who seizes hold of his arm.
Stop a minute, Sean Early, and tell me, did you see Red Jack Smith's wife, Kitty Carey, in any place?
I did. At her own house she was, drying clothes as I passed, laying out a sheet on the edge.
Sean leaves.
Laying out a sheet for the dead? The Lord have mercy on us! Jack Smith dead, and his wife laying out a sheet for his burying. Why didn't you tell me that before, Sean Early? Isn't the deafness the great hardship? Half the world might be dead without me knowing of it or getting word of it at all. Oh, my poor Jack Smith, to be going to his work so nice, so hearty, and to be left stretched on the ground in the full light of the day.
Tim Casey returns, having shared the news of the supposed fight.
What is it, Mrs. Tarpey? What's happened since?
Oh, poor Jack Smith.
Did Bartley overtake him?
Oh, the poor man.
Is it killed he is?
Stretched in the 5-acre meadow.
Oh, the Lord have mercy on us. Is that a fact?
Without the rights of the church.
Who was telling you?
And the wife laying out a sheet for his corpse. I suppose they'll wake him the same as another.
Mrs. Tully, Sean Early, and James Ryan return to the apple stall.
There's great talk about this work in every quarter of the fair.
Ah, cold and dead. And myself may be the last he was speaking to.
The Lord save us. It is dead, is he?
Well, now, hadn't Barley Fallon had great venom in him?
You may be sure he had some cause. Why would he have made an end of him if he had not? What was it rose the dispute, Mrs. Tarpey?
Not a one of me knows. The last I saw of him, Jack Smith was standing there, and Bartley Fallon was standing there, quiet and easy, and he listening to the red-haired man's wife.
Did you hear that, Tim Casey? Did you hear that, Sean Early and James Ryan? Bartley Fallon was here this morning listening to Red Jack Smith's wife, Kitty Carey, that was. Listening to her and whispering with her. It was she who started the fight so.
She must have followed him from her own house. It's likely some person roused him.
I never knew before. Bartley Fallon was great with Jack Smith's wife.
How would you know it? Sure, it's not been in the streets, they would be calling it. If Mrs. Fallon didn't know of it, and if I that have the house next to them didn't know of it, and if Jack Smith himself didn't know of it, it is not likely you would know of it, Tim Casey.
Let Barley Fallon take charge of her from this out, so, and let him provide for her. It's little pity she'll get from any parson in this parish.
How can he take charge of her? Sure, he has a wife of his own. Sure, you don't think he'd turn super and marry her in a Protestant church?
It would be easy for him to marry her if he brought her to America.
We throw it out, Katie Query, believe me. It's for America he's making at this minute. I saw the new magistrate and Joel Muldoon of the police going out into the post office as I came up. There's hurry on them. You may be sure to the telegraph they went, the way he'll be stopped at the docks at Queenstown.
It's likely Kitty Carey has gone with him, and not minding a sheet or a wake at all. The poor man, to be deserted by his own wife, and the breath hardly gone out yet from his body that is lying bloody in the field.
Mrs. Fallon re-enters.
What is it the whole of the town is talking about? And what is it you yourselves are talking about? Is it about me man Bartley Fallon you are talking? Is it lies about him you are telling, saying that he went killing Jack Smith? My grief that ever he came into this place at all.
Be easy now, Mrs. Fallon. Sure, there is no one at all in the whole affair but is sorry for you.
Sorry for me, is it? Why would anyone be sorry for me? Let you be sorry for yourselves, and that there may be shame on you forever, and at the day of judgment for the words you are saying and the lies you are telling, to take away the character of my poor man, and to take the good name off of him, and to drive him to destruction. That is what you are doing.
Take comfort now, Mrs. Fallon. The police are not so smart as they think. Sure, he might give them the slip yet, the same as Lynchyhound.
If they do get him, and if they do put a rope around his neck, There is no one can say he does not deserve it.
Is that what you're saying, Bridget Tully, and is that what you think? I tell you, it's too much talk you have making yourself out to be such a great one and to be running down every respectable person. I tell you, the whole of this town is full of liars and schemers that would hang you up for half a glass of whiskey. Killing Jack Smith, indeed. Where are you at all, Bartley, till I bring you out of this? My nice quiet little man, my decent comrade. He that is as kind, as harmless, as innocent beast of the field. He'll be doing no harm at all if he shed the blood of some of you after this day's work. That much would be no harm at all. Bartley Fallon, where are you? Did anyone see Bartley Fallon?
Mrs. Fallon runs off, and all eyes turn to her as she exits.
It is hard for her to believe any such a thing. God help her.
Enter Bartley Fallon, still carrying the hay fork.
Oh, it is what I often said to myself. If there is ever any misfortune come into this world, it is on myself it is sure to come.
All eyes turn to Bartley.
To be going about with this fork, and to find no one to take it, and no place to leave it down, and I wanted to be gone out of this. Ah, is that you, Sean Early? It's well I met you. You have no call to be leaving the fair for a while the way I have, and how can I go till I'm rid of this fork? Will you take it and keep it until such time as Jack Smith?
I will not take it, Bartley Fallon. I'm very thankful to you.
Oh, look at it now, Mrs. Tarpey. It was here I got it. Let me thrust it in under the stall, and it would lie there safe enough, and no one will take notice of it until such a time as Jack Smith.
Take your fork out of that. Is it to put trouble on me and to destroy me you want? Putting it there for the police to be rooting it out, maybe?
Mrs. Tarpey pushes him back.
Oh, that is a very unneighbourly thing for you to do, Mrs. Tarpey. Hadn't I enough care on me with that fork before me, running up and down with it like the swinging of a clock, and afeard to lay it down in any place? I wish I'd never touched it or meddled with it at all.
It is a pity indeed you ever did.
Will you yourself take it, James Ryan? You were always a neighbourly man.
There is many a thing I would do for you, Bartley Fallon, but I won't do that.
I tell you, there's no man will give you any help for any encouragement for this day's work. If it was something rural now.
If no one at all will take it, maybe it's best to give it up to the police.
There'd be a welcome for it with them, surely.
And it is to the police Kitty Carey herself will be brought.
I wonder now who will take the expense of the wake for poor Jack Smith.
The wake for Jack Smith?
Or wouldn't he get a wake as well as another? Would you begrudge him that much?
Red Jack Smith dead? Who was telling you?
The whole town knows of it by this.
Do they say what way did he die?
You don't know that yourself, I suppose, Bartley Fallon. You don't know he was followed and that he was laid dead with the stab of a hay fork?
The stab of a hay fork?
You don't know, I suppose, that the body is found in the 5-acre meadow.
The 5-acre meadow?
It is likely you don't know that the police are after the man who did it.
The man that did it?
You don't know. Maybe that he was made away with for the sake of Kitty Carey, his wife.
Kitty Carey, his wife?
Bartley is bewildered. He sits down and crosses himself.
And what have you to say for yourself now, Bartley Fallon?
I to bring that fork here, and to find that news before me. It is much, if I can ever stir from this place at all, or reach as far as the road.
Look, boys, at the new magistrate, and Joe Muldoon along with him. It's best for us to quit this.
That is so. It's best not to be mixed in this business at all.
Bad as he is, I wouldn't like to be an informer against any man.
All hurry away except Mrs. Tarpey, who remains behind her stall. Enter the magistrate and the policeman.
I knew the district was in bad shape, but I did not expect to be confronted with a murder at the first fair I came to.
I'm sure you did not, indeed.
It was well I had not gone home. I caught a few words here and there that roused my suspicions.
So they would, too.
You heard the same story from everyone you asked?
The same story. Or if it was not altogether the same, anyway, it was no less than the first story.
What is that man doing? He is sitting alone with a hay fork. He has a guilty look. The murder was done with a hay fork.
That's the very man they say did the act, Bartley Fallon himself.
He must have found escape difficult. He is trying to brazen it out. A convict in the Andaman Islands tried the same game, but he could not escape my system. Stand aside. Don't go far. Have the handcuffs ready.
The magistrate walks up to Bartley and looms before him.
Here, my man. Do you know anything of John Smith?
Of John Smith? Who is he now?
Jack Smith, sir. Red Jack Smith.
Where is Jack Smith?
Where is he, indeed?
What have you to tell?
It is where he was this morning, standing in this spot, singing his share of songs. No, but lighting his pipe, scraping a match on the sole of his shoe.
I ask you for the third time, where is he?
I wouldn't like to say that. It is a great mystery, and it is hard to say if any man did he earn hatred or love.
Tell me all you know.
All that I know? Well, there are 3 estates. There is limbo, then there is purgatory, and there is...
Nonsense! This is trifling. Get to the point.
Maybe you don't hold with the clergy, so? That is the teaching of the clergy. Maybe you hold with the old people. It is what they do be saying, that the shadow goes wandering, and the soul is tired, and the body is taking a rest. The shadow! I was nearly sure I saw Jack Smith not 10 minutes ago, at the corner of the forge, and I lost him again. Was it his ghost I saw, do you think?
Conscience struck. He will confess all now.
His ghost to come before me. It is likely it was on account of the fork. I to have it, and he to have no way to defend himself the time he met with his death.
I must note down his words. I warn you that your words are being noted.
If I had run faster in the beginning, this terror would not be on me at the latter end. Maybe he will cast it up against me at the day of judgment. I wouldn't wonder at all at that.
At the day of judgment?
It was soon for his ghost to appear to me. Is it coming after me always by day it will be, and stripping the clothes off in the night time? I wouldn't wonder at that at all, being as I am an unfortunate man.
Tell me this truly. What was the motive of this crime?
The motive, is it?
Yes, the motive, the cause.
I'd sooner not say that.
You'd better tell me truly. Was it money?
Not at all. What did poor Jack Smith ever have in his pockets, unless it might be his hands that would be in them?
Any dispute about land?
Not at all. He never was a grabber or grabbed from anyone.
He will find it better for you if you tell me at once.
I tell you I wouldn't for the whole world wish to say what it was. It is a thing I would not like to talk about.
There's no use in hiding it. It will be discovered in the end.
Well, I suppose it will, seeing that mostly everybody knows it before. Whisper here now. I will tell no lie. Where would be the use? Don't be putting the blame on the parish, for such a thing was never done in the parish before. It was done for the sake of Kitty Carey, Jack Smith's wife.
Put on the handcuffs. We have been saved some trouble. I knew he would confess if taken the right way.
The policeman handcuffs Bartley, who does not resist.
Handcuffs now, glory be! I always said, if there was ever any misfortune coming to this place, it was on myself it would fall. I to be in handcuffs. There's no wonder at all in that.
Enter Mrs. Fallon, followed by the other townsfolk. She is looking back at them all as she speaks.
Telling lies the whole of the people of this town are. Telling lies as fast as a dog will trot. Speaking against my poor respectable man. Saying he made an end of Jack Smith, my decent comrade. There is no better man and no kinder man in the whole of the 5 parishes. It's little annoyance he ever gave to anyone. Oh, what in the earthly world do I see before me? Barty Fallon in charge of the police. Handcuffs on him. Oh, Barty, what did you do at all?
Oh, Mary, there has been a great misfortune come upon me. It is what I always said, that if there was ever any misfortune...
What did he do at all, or is it bewitched I am?
This man has been arrested on a charge of murder.
Whose charge is that? Don't believe him. They're all liars in this place. Give me back my man.
It is natural you should take his part, but you have no cause of complaint against your neighbours. He has been arrested for the murder of John Smith on his own confession.
The saints of heaven protect us. And what did you want killing Jack Smith?
It is best you should know all. He did it on account of a love affair with the murdered man's wife.
With Jack Smith's wife? With Kitty Kieran? The traitor?
To America he was bringing her, Mrs. Fallon.
What are you saying, Mary? I tell you.
Don't say a word. I won't listen to any word you'll say. Oh, isn't he the treacherous villain?
Be quiet till I speak. Listen to what I say.
sitting beside me on the cart coming to town so quiet and so respectable and treachery like that in his heart.
Is it your wits you have lost, or is it I myself that have lost my wits?
And it's hard I earned you slaving, and you grumbling and sighing and coughing and discontented, and the priest wore out anointing you with all the times you threatened to die.
Let you be quiet till I tell you.
You to bring such a disgrace into the parish, a thing that was never heard of before.
Will you shut your mouth and hear me speaking?
And if it was for any sort of a fine, handsome woman, but for a little fistful of a woman like Kitty Kieran, that's not 4 feet high hardly, and not 3 teeth in her head unless she's got new ones. May God reward you, Barty Fallon, for the black treachery in your heart and the wickedness in your mind, and the red blood of poor Jack Smith that is wet upon your hand.
The sea shall be dry, the earth under mourning and ban. Then loud shall she cry for the wife of the red-haired man.
It's Jack Smith's voice. I never knew a ghost to sing before. It is after myself, and the fork he is coming.
Enter Jack Smith.
Let one of you give him the fork, and I will be clear of him now and for eternity.
The Lord have mercy on us! Red Jack Smith, the man that was going to be waked.
Is it back from the grave you are come?
Is it alive you are, or is it dead you are?
Is it yourself at all that's in it?
Is it letting on you were to be dead?
Dead or alive, let you stop Kitty Kieran, your wife, from bringing my man away with her to America.
It is what I think. The wits are gone astray on the whole of you. What would my wife, what bringing Bartley Fallon to America?
To leave yourself and to quit of you as she wants, Jack Smith, and to bring him away from myself. That's what the two of them had settled on together.
I'll break the head of any man that says that. Who is it says that? Was it you said it?
'Twasn't I.
It wasn't me.
Was it you?
It wasn't. I said it.
Tell me the name of any man that said it.
It was him that said it.
The crowd points at Bartley Fallon.
Bartley Fallon it was.
Let me at him, till I break his head.
Bartley backs away in terror. The townspeople hold Jack Smith back.
Let me at him. Isn't he the pleasant sort of scarecrow for any woman to be crossing the ocean with? It's back, from the docks at New York, he'd be turned, with a lie in his mouth and treachery at heart, and another man's wife by his side, and he'd be passing her off as his own. Let me at him, can't you?
Jack Smith struggles to break free and get at Bartley, but is held back.
Policeman Muldoon, put the handcuffs on this man. I see it all now. A case of false impersonation, a conspiracy to defeat the ends of justice. There was a case in the Andaman Islands, a murderer, a religious enthusiast.
So he might be too.
We must take both these men to the scene of the murder. We must confront them with the body of the real Jack Smith.
I'll break the head of any man that'll find me dead body.
I'll call more help from the barracks.
This is what I am thinking. If myself and Jack Smith are put together in the one cell for the night, the handcuffs will be taken off him, and his hands will be free, and murder will be done that time surely.
PTAC's audio drama series is a production by the Phoenix Theatre and Arts Company. This week's episode, Spreading the News, was written by Lady Gregory. It was adapted and directed by Jenna Isabella and edited by John Isabella III. This episode features the vocal talents of Gina Stanton as Mrs. Tarpey, the narrator, Amanda Booth as Mrs. Fallon, David Nielsen as the magistrate, Phil Pinot as Barley Fallon, Ryan Snanouche as Sean Early, Justin Chumas as James Ryan, Sean Latassa as the policeman, John Isabella III as Tim Casey, Nick Tuosto as Jack Smith, and Rachel Zenhauser as Mrs. Tully. Original PTAC music by Brian Sanishin. For a full list of credits, visit us at phoenixtheatreartsco.com. That's theater with an R-E. While you're there, please consider clicking the donate link. That would be delightful. Have comments or questions? Email us at phoenixtheatreartsco@gmail.com or find us on social media. A very special thank you to our Patreon subscribers, with a shout out to those in the box seats, Ken Shelby, and onstage seating, Margaret Thurston. We couldn't do this without you. Join us next time for Trifles.